what? Yes, everybody and everyone have the answer. Everyone have the answer. You don't fool yourself. Everyone have the answer. Everyone knows what can bring this unity. People don't let them use or not. No woman no cry. No woman. No man no cry. I say.
Bob Marley was an absolute legend. He just completely. I mean, personally for me, he really he had an effect on me because listening to his lyrics and just the sort of flow of reggae, it really chills you out. And obviously you don't need the things that he took to be chilled out. It was just the music that can chill you out after listening to it just for like 10 seconds or so. My favourite song by him, I have a few because I can't like just choose one or the other, but it's either going to be Three Little Birds, Exodus or Redemption Song. Redemption Song because it's really powerful and it's just him on his guitar and it's just really nice to listen to.
This generation triumphantly, won't you help to sing another song of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs, redemption songs.
Well, a lot of people thought he died from some sort of drug overdose, but he didn't. He actually died from an infection. He was playing football because he was a massive fan of football, and he played it. When he was playing it over here, a guy went in for a slide tackle but accidentally cut his foot, and so his foot got infected a lot, and the whole situation of how he wasn't necessarily black or white, he was, I think the correct term is Afro-British. A lot of people think he died from some sort of drug overdose just because he smoked weed, but that was just merely a part of his religion, and they don't believe that weed gets you high and that's all it's for. They believe that it actually makes you have a connection with God. It chills you out, and so therefore you process things in a really chilled out manner, and your connection with God is more spiritual. But he didn't die because of a drug overdose or whatever. He didn't die just because he was smoking weed, because the last time he smoked a spliff before this was like 13 years before he died.
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds.
But there might have been a moment where they would have had to cut his foot off, and that would have meant he couldn't play football. He could still sing, he could still make music. That wouldn't have had a difference, you know. Yeah, he would have been able to stand up okay, but he wouldn't have been able to play football, which was a shame for him, and he didn't want it to happen. So he said, look, is there any way we can just sort of cut a bit off? They said, okay, yeah, we can just cut a bit off and that'll be that. So they cut a bit off and they thought that it was fine, but after years and years and years of him touring and, you know, he was completely unaware that cancer was building up inside everywhere of his body. It started from his foot and it grew and grew. Literally, it was everywhere. And I think it was discovered when he collapsed, and then when he was taken into hospital, and they found that that's what had caused it. And it was it was such a great shame. not that I was there, obviously, but I mean, it just sort of, if that didn't happen, and he was still alive today, I'd be able to see him live, you know, I could see him gigging or whatever. And because it was all for a sort of perspective of freedom, free will, of the Rasta culture, and it wasn't really for that, although that's what he was sort of, he wasn't preaching it, that's what he was singing about, but it was mainly for the rights of his race, his sort of people of his colour skin, how they deserve respect and equality just as anyone does. And you know, but because people disagreed with that, a group of people came in and they just sort of put their guns, they opened his door, they put their guns round at an angle and they just opened fire. Like, so many people were wounded. He had a bullet that skimmed, it only just skimmed his chest and it went into his arm. I mean, that's how close he was to dying right there and then, and he wouldn't have gone further on in his career, and we wouldn't have witnessed the effect that he had on people afterwards. So, and the concert at this time would have happened 2 days later, but he was shot. So really, in that situation, you can't perform when you've just been shot. So then he actually managed to go on stage and sing in front of a crowd of thousands of people, and he showed them his gun wounds, and he said, well, if people fighting for the darkness aren't resting, then why should I?
Don't worry about a thing.
Bob Marley was just, he's my idol. He's probably I would say my biggest idol, because the music I mainly listen to doesn't have much of a meaning to it, because I listen to like dubstep and glitch and really electronic music. But reggae, it sort of introduced me to a lot more relaxed and chilled out side of music, and you know, ever since I found out about Bob Marley, I've wanted to expand my knowledge on what Rastas are, my knowledge of sort of reggae and where it's developed from, which is how I found out about ska and rocksteady, because they're the musics that reggae came from. And Bob Marley, I genuinely find it shocking how a lot of people don't really know who he is today. Like kids who listen to cheesy pop songs by Justin Bieber or Katy Perry, and their songs aren't even good. It's just because they're there for them to listen to, and they don't know any other kinds of music, that they just listen to it, think it's alright, and that becomes their music taste. And but if kids today get more involved with broader genres, then the charts will improve in majorly, because they are at an all-time low at the moment, I'm sorry. And because I mean, rap has just become something that it isn't. Rap is rhythm and poetry, and it's about, it was always about expressing something and representing, you know, something that was going on, but it's just completely fallen apart now. And that's what's happened to reggae as well. It's been completely commercialized, and you know, you've got people singing about prostitution and sex, and when Bob Marley, he was talking about freedom and positive things. And I think now that we've lost Bob Marley, we've lost good music, which is a real shame. So if Bob Marley was still alive today, I think he would still be having an effect on music today, because I think there'll be a lot more reggae going through music in the charts now, and it would be having a much more positive effect on kids who are struggling at this time in their lives. And I'm not just talking about kids like in my position at a good school where they're getting a good education. I'm talking about all kids, or all adults, or just anyone. So yeah.
woman.